The iPhone 11 Pro, another $1,000 iPhone and the successor to the iPhone XS. It's the best iPhone yet. Of course, it would be embarrassing if it wasn't. But is it good enough? Does it deserve that Pro name? Should you upgrade? Let's dive in. Before we get started, note that the iPhone 11 Pro comes in two sizes, 5.8 inch and 6.5 inch. That 6.5 inch model, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, just has a larger screen, a little bit longer battery life, and costs $100 more. That's it. That's everything. So when I say the iPhone 11 Pro, I'm talking about both sizes. Now, if you were to ask somebody what they want in a new phone, they would probably say they want it to be fast, they want it to have an awesome camera, they want it to be durable, and it should have really great battery life. Just so happens that's what you get with the iPhone 11 Pro. It's stupid fast, the camera is fantastic, and the battery life is crazy good. But it also doesn't do much else. It doesn't add significant new capabilities so much as it just does everything the iPhone XS did better. Take performance. The A12 Bionic is basically still faster than every other smartphone chip. And the A13 is pretty much the same thing, only 20% faster and more power efficient. In fact, in some benchmarks, the 3D graphics performance is almost 50% faster. In most of our tests, across the board, we saw about a 15 to 20% speed improvement. So once again, Apple has the smartphone chip to beat. The iPhone 11 Pro's design and craftsmanship is a little bit better than the iPhone XS too. It's more durable and harder to crack with a nice frosted matte finish. And there's a new midnight green color that's just gorgeous. But outside of the big awkward square camera bump on the back, which you get used to pretty quickly, it's basically the same design as the iPhone XS. It's a touch thicker and heavier, but you won't really notice. What you will notice is that thicker design makes room for a big fat battery. The battery life on this phone is just awesome. Apple says you'll get 4 to 5 hours more life than the iPhone XS, but I can't really verify that. I don't know how they come up with that figure. But I do know that I get way longer battery life with the iPhone 11 Pro than the XS, which was already pretty good. I can easily get over 8 hours of screen on time without doing anything special to save battery. And a lot of that is playing games, which are notorious for draining your battery quickly. Oh, and speaking of battery, Apple finally includes an 18-watt USB-C power adapter in the box. Apple should have done this years ago. With the standard iPhone 11, you still get that pitiful 5-watt USB-A power adapter, and there's really no excuse for that. The other really big obvious change from the iPhone XS is the camera. It still has the wide angle and telephoto cameras on the back, and the telephoto has a wider aperture that lets in more light. This year, Apple has added a third camera, an ultra-wide camera with a 120-degree field of view and an f2.4 aperture. It's not as good in low light as the other two cameras and the quality isn't quite as good, but it's incredibly useful to be able to zoom out and get more in the frame. Thanks to the more powerful processor, the quality of all your photos and videos are even better than ever. Apple's doing fancier image processing to get the most out of this camera hardware, and it shows. Dynamic range, sharpness, noise, and color accuracy are all better than ever. The front camera is really improved now too. It's now 12 megapixels instead of 7 and has an 85-degree field of view instead of 70 degrees. That means clearer and sharper selfies where it's easier to get more in the frame without it feeling unnatural. Oh, and you can shoot 4K 60 frames per second video in the front camera and even slow motion selfie videos now. Then there's night mode. It first appeared on the Google Pixel and then a bunch of other Android phones, but Apple's implementation may be the best of them all. It just turns on automatically when it's dark enough and produces some of the clearest and most accurate super low light shots of any smartphone. We'll have another video that dives deeper into the camera, but suffice it to say that the camera on the iPhone 11 Pro is top-notch and a significant improvement over the iPhone XS. And later this fall, Apple's going to release a software update that adds this new machine learning camera technology called Deep Fusion, which should make photos even better. So that's something else to look forward to. The OLED display on the iPhone 11 Pro is almost identical to the one on the iPhone XS, only a touch brighter. It's an awesome display, but not different enough to go on about. This phone also has a new radio technology called ultra-wideband, which can be used to locate other ultra-wideband devices to within a few inches. It's sort of like a more precise, secure, interference-proof Bluetooth. Right now, all it's used for is to make AirDrop a tiny bit simpler, but Apple didn't put ultra-wideband in the iPhone 11 just for that. We are definitely going to see more somewhere down the line. So that's the iPhone 11 Pro. Basically the iPhone XS, only faster, much longer battery life, better cameras on the front and back, and a more durable construction with a nice matte finish. It's easily the best iPhone ever made, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good buy. The regular iPhone 11 has nearly all the same features, speed, and quality. It doesn't have an OLED display, and it doesn't have the telephoto camera, but it does have the A13 chip, ultra wideband, the better front camera, night mode, the ultra wide camera, and a really good battery life. The gap in features between the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro is so small that it's hard to justify the $300 to $400 price difference. And it's really hard to justify calling this phone Pro. I think it's great that Apple is unifying around some common branding. MacBook and MacBook Pro, iPad and iPad Pro, iMac and iMac Pro, and now iPhone and iPhone Pro. It makes sense. But in each of those, the Pro model isn't just the best one. The processor is always much faster in the Pro model, and there are other important features to separate them from the non-Pro models. If Apple wants to call this a Pro phone, maybe it should have things the iPad Pro has, like a USB-C port or a 120Hz ProMotion display. Maybe it should have 5G, which isn't very important right now, but will definitely be important sometime in the several-year lifespan of this phone. If you have an iPhone XR or XS, you should probably wait for next year's iPhone to upgrade. And if you have an iPhone 8 or 10, well, maybe. If you have an iPhone 7 or earlier, you'll see a huge leap when you upgrade. The iPhone 11 Pro is a great phone. One of the best phones money can buy, and hands down the best iPhone ever. But it doesn't really justify its 50% price hike over the iPhone 11, and it doesn't quite deserve to be called a Pro iPhone.